Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad FAIZUDDIN IQRAM bin Muhammad FADZHIR and my research partner name is Muhammad AMMAR bin Muhammad RAZIF. Today we are going to present our research paper entitled Determinants of Financial Literacy Among University Students, a case study in Uitm Shah. Okay, for our research backgrounds, basically our research explains about the ability to manage personal finances in efficient way that include knowledge about deciding on investing, insurances, budgeting and tax planning. Huston 2010. Because of the gradually complex business nowadays, people require better knowledge regarding to their self-finance and the economy. Most of the graduated or ungraduated students have a difficulty in managing their finances because they don't know how to budget and save their money. Conclude 2012. Various surveys conducted all over the world have constantly showed that financial literacy levels are low in developed countries and even lower in developing and undeveloped countries. Greenspan 2001.
Problem statement. According to Bank Negara Malaysia survey of financial literacy 2015 showed that 3 out of 4 Malaysians found it difficult to raise even 1,000 for an emergency. Okay, the next one is the former Finance Minister of Malaysia, Lim Guan Eng, said that 60% of 100,610 Malaysians aged between 18 until 44 years old were declared bankrupt. Furthermore, Jabatan Insolvency Malaysia report shows that 23,577 people that aged between 25 until 34 years old from the year 2014 until 2018 involved in bankruptcy, and the highest in the year of 2016 amounted to 5,183 people. Lastly, a study by S&P Global Financial Literacy in 2014 reported that financial literacy for adults in Malaysia is just 36% compared with the Malaysian neighbour, which is Singapore, with 59%. The research question and research objective. This research consists of 3 research questions and 3 research objectives. This study aims to identify the significant relationship between the personal and family background and financial literacy among university students. The second one is to identify a significant relationship between sources of information and financial advice and financial literacy among university students. The third one is to identify a significant relationship between childhood consumer experience and financial literacy among university students. The research question for this study is based on the research objective. The first one is, does the personal and family background influence the financial literacy among university students? The second one is, does the sources of information and financial advice influence the financial literacy among university students? And the third one is, does the childhood consumer experience influence the financial literacy among university students?
As you can see, this is our conceptual frameworks. The CF was adapted from 2 different theories, which are social learning theory by Bandura 1973 and dual process theory by William James 1974. So there are 3 independent variables, which are personal and family background, sources of information and financial advice, childhood consumer experience, and one dependent variable, which is financial literacy. So these are our independent variables and research hypotheses. First independent variable is personal and family background influences. HO, there is no significant relationship between personal and family background and financial literacy. H1, there is a significant relationship between personal and family background and financial literacy. Sources of information and financial advice. HO, there is no significant relationship between sources of information and financial advice and financial literacy. H1, there is a significant relationship between sources of information and financial advice and financial literacy. The third independent variable is childhood consumer experience. HO, there is no significant relationship between early childhood consumer experience and financial literacy. H1, there is a significant relationship between early childhood consumer experience and financial literacy.
For the research method, the first one is research design. This study used quantitative approach as its research methodology because the quantitative approach is the finest one to explaining a phenomenon. The second one is the unit of analysis. The unit of analysis for this study is individuals, which is students of Uitm Shah. The third one is sample size. They are 160,957 Uitm students. This research sample size is 150 respondents in Uitm Shah. The fourth one is sampling technique. This study use probability sampling, which is simple random sampling and convenience sampling. Okay, firstly we use the research randomizer to select a course from the three main courses by cluster in Uitm Shah, and social science and humanities was selected. Next, we use the same research randomizer to select the faculty from the social science and humanities, and it comprises of 9 faculty. So the faculty of law was selected for the second stage of sampling. Okay, for the last stage of sampling, we use convenience sampling to select the respondent for this study by distributing the questionnaire for the student at the faculty of law before the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, the next one is data collection. There are 5 sections for the data collection. The first one is section A, demographic profile. Section B, financial literacy. Section C, personal and family background. Section D, sources of information and financial advice. Section D, childhood consumer experience. Next is data analysis. The data analysis for this study will be carried out using the SPSS version 26, and the data analyzed using the descriptive statistic and Pearson correlation. The last one is data measurement. The measurement that we use for all the variables are scale measurement. This is the example of our measurement table. There are 4 variables. The first one is DV, dependent variable. The second one until the fourth one is our IV, independent variable. So our DV consists of just 4 item measures, and all of our independent variable consists of 5 item measures.
Okay, we move to the findings. Based on the demographic table, most of the respondents were female. For age, the highest respondents was at age 23 years old to 24 years old. Besides, for the race, most of the respondents were Malay race. Next, education level. The most response were degree holder and non-business course of study. For financial aid, most of the students were response for PT-PTN as much 56 respondents. Last is CGPA. 58 respondents response for CGPA between 3.01 until 3.50.
Under the hypothesis testing, we have 3 hypotheses. The first hypothesis is to determine the relationship between the personal and family background and financial literacy. The data has been analyzed using Pearson correlation, and the result is R 0.960. Meanwhile, the p-value is below 0.01, which is strongly significant. So we reject the H null and accepted the H alternate. There is strongly significant relationship between the independent variable 1 and dependent variable. Next, to determine the relationship between the sources of information and financial advice and financial literacy, the data has been analyzed using Pearson correlation, and the result is R 0.962. Meanwhile, the p-value is below 0.01, which is strongly significant. So we reject the H null and accepted the H as the net. There is strongly a significant relationship between independent variable 2 and dependent variable. The last one, to determine the relationship between childhood consumer experience and financial literacy. The data has been analyzed using Pearson correlation and the result is R 0.971. Meanwhile, the p-value is below 0.01, which is strongly significant. So we reject the H null and accepted the H alternate. There is strongly significant relationship between the independent variable 3 and the dependent variable. For the research recommendation, the first one is to increase personal spending awareness. By increasing the personal spending awareness, it will ensure that a person will develop their financial self-control. This is where the individual itself lack of financial control. So they may create a basic budget calculation for them. This is because without having a budget, it is hard to keep and save their money. So the basic budget must be including the list of personal expenses, for example, food, drinks, notes, books, and transportation. So the second one is to increase the level of concern in financial information. So by increase the sensitivity and awareness for both sources of information such as formal tools and informal tools, this is because an individual may get easily financial information through the informal tools like internet website, but face-to-face meeting with the financial expert is more reliable. So a person should ask their uncertainty to a financial expert through face-to-face meeting to enhance the student knowledge regarding reliable financial management. So the last recommendation is childhood consumer experience. So based on the finding and the literature review, it is clearly shown that financial literacy was influenced by the childhood consumer experience because of the significant and strong relationship result. So there is some recommendation for improvement, such as parents need to emphasize the importance of learning financial matter from an early age. So when they grow up, they will make the right financial decision, especially while studying in university. Also, the university life required high financial knowledge to avoid financial problems.
Okay, we move to limitations of study and future recommendations. First, limited sample. There is a limitation as only the students from Uitm Shah are being used as the sample for this study. As future recommendation, researchers should to broaden and widen their sample area in other UiTM branches as well as other public universities in Malaysia. Second limitation that we face is limited variable. There is some limitation of variables used. This is where researchers choose to use 3 variables based on 2 theories, namely dual process theory and social learning theory. As a recommendation, the researcher should to apply other various variables and theories to expand the scale to measurement of a significant level of dependent variable and independent variables. Third limitation is limited data collection technique. Researchers choose to use only one measurement or instrument to collect data, which is by questionnaire. As a recommendation for the next researchers should to choose more and expand the technique of data collection. Next is larger scope of study. Researcher only focuses on financial literacy in public university students in Malaysia. As a recommendation, researchers should concentrate to larger the scope of study. Researchers should to recover both university students in public or private universities in Malaysia. Last but not least is quantitative study. Use the quantitative study where the survey was not in depth in collecting the data. As a recommendation, researchers have to focus more on the exactness of the information to be gathered for the study to evade any errors in the study. In conclusion, this research is about the determinant of financial literacy among university students in Uitm Shah Alam. This study also for the needs of other researchers to gain new knowledge on relationship between the determinants of financial literacy among university students' perspective, since there is insufficient study conducted in this topic. This research basically has shown that there is correlation in financial literacy and university students. Therefore, it can be concluding that all the background of the study as well as problem statement has been discussed precisely.